This message that's coming through is for those on the Divine Feminine journey who have been flying solo, who have been called into isolation and solitude. And specifically, this message is for those who are not in a romantic connection. So you may have zero desire to be out there dating, on dating apps, going on coffee dates, or having any kind of, sexual relations at all. Like, you may be completely compelled to boycott all of that. And many of you have been asking if there's a spiritual significance to this, what appears to be self imposed celibacy. And the answer to that is yes, you are being divinely guided to purify your vessel and purify the sacral womb space. This self imposed celibacy is sacred. Many of you may feel that you're boycotting love and that you've given up on love. And as a reframe for this, in truth, you're not boycotting love. You are love. What you are boycotting and releasing is attachment. So you're being divinely guided to come home to yourself, to the truth of who you are, the love that you are at the core of your being, and no longer attached to external forms of validation in order to receive that love. And this is a very intuitive process. This is a byproduct of the Kundalini awakening and the Shakti energy rising and purifying the three lower chakras, which is a key phase of the journey. And in actuality, you're actually preparing your vessel and your channel for sacred union, even though if you're listening to this, it may be the last thing on your mind. And it goes so beyond calling in or magnetizing a divine counterpart or sacred union. So the sacral womb space is the center of your presence. It is this womb of creation. And I know that sounds all mystical and woo-woo, but until you begin to awaken this energy, this life force energy, this sexual, creative life force energy within your vessel, and you're no longer leaking energy, because this is part of why you're being guided to celibacy now. So you no longer leak your sexual creative life force energy. And this purification process can complete, right? Purifying the three lower chakras, specifically is the sacral chakra, because this is where you store all of the toxic imprints from past lovers, all of the hurt, all of the pain, all of the betrayal, and all of your denser emotions like deep anger, sadness, hurt, and this all gets purged on this journey. And the reason it gets purged is because the Shakti energy is rising within you and it's purifying the chakras as it rises. So it's purifying your root chakra, it's purifying your sacral chakra, it's purifying your solar plexus chakra, and I'm going to refer to the three lower chakras for the specifics of this transmission. But it purifies your entire vessel, your entire channel, so that you can be the bridge, the portal between heaven and earth. And you can think of your chakras as kind of like, they're kind of physical and they're also energetic, right? Like they're both. So they are like the portals between the 3D physical manifested world of form, like the denser reality, like your body, and the unseen realm. These chakras are associated with certain body parts, body regions, and organs, and they also have concentrated nerve endings where these chakras exist. So there's a physical component and there's an energetic component, and these chakras are kind of like a portal or a gateway in between worlds, right? They're part of how you create with your life force energy, with your sexual energy. So this may start to make sense if you think of this. Your sexual energy is your creative life force energy. It is intelligent energy. And as you ascend on this journey and you move into aligning with what you came here to create and birth into this world. Keyword birth, right? You are midwifing new earth. You are midwifing a whole new paradigm. And this new earth paradigm is birthed through you. You are the living transmission. You are the portal of this. It exists through your transmission. This happens in the body. It happens where you are the form and the formless simultaneously. And so without going down a rabbit hole on this particular transmission, your sacral womb space is, for lack of a better word, as this space is purified on this journey and you release and clear and purify and purge the toxic imprints that have been stored here and the denser emotions and the anger that comes up and out like sacred rage, things that have been repressed and suppressed, as this purges and purifies your system, you become a more clear, open channel, and your life force energy, your sexual creative life force energy, is now being diverted, so to speak. So instead of having all of these leaks, right, these energetic leaks with your sexual creative life force energy, it's now being harnessed to birth into creation what you came here to create. So you will notice as you deepen into this process of purification, you're going to experience heightened creativity, heightened intuition, the frequency that you are receiving, the activations that you're receiving as Earth is continuing to ascend are more easily able to anchor into your physical vessel, and you're able to direct this creative life force energy in a way that aligns you with your highest timeline. It's no longer being restricted, so to speak. I like to use the phrase energetic leaks, right? So when we're holding on to all the denser emotions, the hurt, the abandonment, the betrayal, the anger, the sadness, the pain, all of that stored in the sacral chakra, coupled with all of the times we have self-abandoned and maybe used our sexual energy to manipulate, or maybe we gave our sexual power away in order to get some form of validation. And so all of this comes up to be purified. There's no judgment here. There's just releasing that happens on this journey. And the self-imposed celibacy is a key component in this, because it's kind of like if you have a garden hose and there's a bunch of holes in it, there's not going to be a lot of force behind that. When you plug the leaks, that hose becomes alive. It starts, like, have you ever seen that where like a hose, when you first turn it on, it's just laying there and then you can turn it on full blast and all of a sudden the hose is like moving around like it's alive, right? There's so much power behind it. There's so much force. And this is what happens with your sexual creative life force energy. It becomes a magnetic force that allows you to create from your true essence, which is your sexual creative life force energy. It's what created you. It's what creates a baby. It's what births your divine creations into the world, is this intelligent life force energy, which in truth is synonymous with sacred sexual energy. But if it's being leaked everywhere and it's not being honored and it's not held as sacred, then there's no power or force behind that. It's giving all the power away. Your womb space is an infinite source of creation, magnetic creation. And the power of your womb space can only be harnessed when you are embodied in your sacredness, right? When you fully embody your sacredness and honor not only your body, but your sexual energy, and you're not leaking your power. So on this journey, it's very natural and very divinely guided and very, divinely orchestrated for you to be in solitude and silence and in your own energy and in your own essence and in your own frequency, and no longer leaking your sexual creative life force energy, drawing your awareness in. And it's very, very normal and common for this period, this phase of the journey, to be earmarked with intense emotions that bubble up to be released. So this is where you may also be experiencing a lot of sadness, a lot of crying, which is just another form of releasing and purifying. This is not a time to go into trying to fix or figure anything out. This is about allowing yourself to release and to feel and to be with yourself and to allow whatever needs to come up. This isn't about trying to stuff it back down or repress it or fix it or judge it as if it's bad or something like that. In fact, during this phase of the journey, if you're earlier on in this phase of the journey, because it is kind of like a spiraling journey, it's not just like this linear process. You may circle back to certain things, but if you're earlier on and the abandonment wounds and the betrayal are fresh, especially if you are on this path and you've met your twin flame, and that's what catalyzed your spiritual awakening and your deep dive headfirst into dark night of the soul, at the earlier phase of this purification process, you may feel like a hot mess. You may be just going through bouts of crying, unable to really keep it in, and you don't want to keep it in. You may be, I know when I went through this phase several years ago, it was constant crying no matter where I was, in the grocery store, driving my car, going on walks, like all the time. And it was very purifying. You're aware that there is something deeper happening. So there is a process of alchemy that ensues. Now, if you're later on this journey and you have settled into the self-imposed celibacy, you have already experienced how this is a magical, sacred process, and you have become very magnetic as a byproduct of this. And you have been opening your channel as the high priestess, as the vessel and channel that you are. And so this journey may start off and feel very sad and lonely, right? And this is if you're still coming from separation consciousness and you're no longer able to latch on to whatever external forms of validation were soothing you. And so for many of you, that has been your twin flame. And your twin flame exits and no longer soothes you, and it leaves you spiraling, and that is by divine design. That is because you have a soul blueprint here to awaken to the love that you are. And that can only happen when you begin to come home to the truth of who you are, which is the love that you've been seeking. This journey is ultimately about embodying your divinity and being able to live as the divine channel anchored in your sovereignty. This happens in the body. This is an embodiment process. And so your body will go through an up-leveling, an activation on this journey. And the Kundalini energy that's rising and purifying and healing the chakras as it moves up is part of this process. So it's all divinely guided. You're right where you need to be. You're not crazy for not wanting to be in a relationship or a connection or on dating apps or, going on dates and making small talk and doing all the things. If you are resonating with this, you are destined for sacred union. You already know this in your heart, and you can trust that, and it will come at the right divinely appointed time when you are open and ready to receive it, and you are a frequency match for it. And when you get to this place, you won't care when it comes or if it comes even. And you won't care who it is with, and you won't be attached to it needing to be your twin flame or any kind of thing like that. And I know that may sound hard for some of you to hear, depending on how early on you are in this purification process. But when you are fully anchored in your divinity and you're fully embodied in the frequency that's a resonant match for it, open and willing to receive without guilt, you won't even need to manifest specific things because you will be so anchored in your truth and so trusting in the divine that you know it's all unfolding for you perfectly. The need to control the process or figure it out, or the need to try to manipulate external reality to get it to bend to your will, those days will be over, and you will be living pleasantly, joyfully, blissfully in the present moment, open to receive whatever is in your highest and greatest good, with no attachment to any specific outcome. So if this resonated with you and you're finding yourself on this phase of the journey where you know you are in this purification process, there's a few things I can recommend if you want support on your journey. One is Sacral Sovereignty. This is my womb healing and detox to clear toxic imprints from past lovers and painful experiences that linger in your emotional, energetic body and take up residence inside the sacral chakra. So that is available. I will link it wherever you're listening to this. I will say it is also included as a bonus inside Embody the Empress, which is my monthly membership, which comes with weekly live sacred integration calls, along with so many other bonuses and channeled content. So if you want to get sacral sovereignty, but you also want live calls and you want to dive deeper, I would recommend getting the membership, but both are available. And finally, the Forbidden Feminine Sacred Heart Temple. This next edition that's being released is Sacral Magnetism. So if this resonated with you, you're going to want to have access to Sacral Magnetism. The temple is structured as a one-time investment to get into the temple. Every time I drop a new edition, the value increases and so does the price. And right now you can get access to the temple for the same price as one live event. So the Forbidden Feminine Black Cat Edition is already waiting for you inside the temple, and as soon as you enroll and get access to the temple, you have it for life, so you will get access to every edition that drops from here on out. So the sooner you enroll, the more you save. On top of that, you also will receive a ticket to the next Forbidden Feminine Black Cat Edition. That is an annual event that happens on Friday the 13th, and the next one is slated for March 13th, 2026. So I will also link that wherever you're listening to this. That being said, I hope this finds you well, and until next time, namaste.